You heard the good news, friend? Porsche loves you. So much so, in fact, that it has brought to this earth a new generation of its oldest child, the 911. Take out your good book and turn to the chapter titled 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S. Now in the 992 generation, Porsche builds upon an already capable monster with more performance, more tech, more everything, really. It's not a perfect car, but what fun is perfection? When I first drove a Porsche 911 Carrera 4S all the way back in 2016, I was pretty impressed with its engine. Now, if I had a time machine, I would go back and tell myself that he ain't seen nothing yet. The latest iteration of C4S packs the same 3-liter twin-turbocharged flat 6, but now it's been cranked up to produce 443 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque, improvements of 13 and 22 respectively. That newfound power comes from a whole host of changes such as new turbochargers, injectors, electric wastegates, different cooling, but what you really need to get from this thing is that it's quick, like alarmingly so. With the new Sport Chrono Pack tacked on, as my tester has, this car will hit 60 in just 3.2 seconds. My eyeballs get pushed so far into the back of my damn skull that I actually had to get out of the car and make sure that Porsche didn't send me a 911 Turbo by accident. I mean, it kind of makes you even wonder if any trim above C4S is even necessary. The transmission is also new. For 2020, Porsche's PDK dual clutch grew an extra cog for 8 total forward speeds. As always, it is a lightning fast transmission that's surprisingly smooth around town as well, but it's the bits that are connected to it that are kind of getting my goat. Let's take the shift lever, for example. It is now this weird-ass popsicle thing that doesn't let you actually manually adjust the gears, so I have to use the shift paddles. Problem with the shift paddles is that they're kind of small and don't really rest on my hand the way I'd enjoy. Now, if you've been hearing in the background, there's a little bit of exhaust noise and there is some smoke and mirrors that comes with it, but not really in a way that bothers me. The new sports exhaust out back changes its volume in conjunction with the mode, that's all well and good, and there's an active sound composer up front, but it's not digital, it just pipes induction noise into the cabin to give you a little more meat. The whole thing really just sounds great. It has all the pops, burps, and crackles you would come to expect from a fancy set of pipes these days. Speaking of modes, there are a few on offer. Using the tiny little dial guy down here that comes as part of the Sport Chrono package, I can adjust the steering, throttle, and suspension to my liking, whether it's through a bunch of preset modes built into the system or a kind of choose-your-own individual setting. Now for me personally, I find the car best lives in sport mode. It keeps the suspension nice and soft, but it sharpens up the throttle and opens up the exhaust out back. It really kind of best embodies the character of the 911, even in around town driving. Now it's a good thing you can adjust the suspension independently of the vehicle modes because the 911 is stiff. Now it's not overwhelmingly or punishingly stiff, at least not if you know what you're getting into by buying a 911, but at the same time it is nice and best left in comfort mode when you're just kind of putting around town or really anywhere but the track. My tester also comes equipped with Porsche's sport suspension, which lowers the car a little. Now that might be concerning for me because I have kind of a steep driveway, but at the same time it's also optioned with the $2,700 front axle lift, which raises the nose in record time and pretty much makes scraping a thing of the past. Precise would be a good way to describe just about every inch of the 911 driving experience. I could see a sunflower seed on the road 50 meters out and the 911 would hit it every single time. The steering has a nice weight to it, and in conjunction with the optional rear axle steering, which my tester has, this thing will carve up curves like it's prepping a ham on Christmas Day. Let me bring you up to date with a quick history of the 911's look. There, that was fast, wasn't it? Porsche's venerable sports car has retained the same silhouette for decades, and with the 992, the automaker clearly favors evolution over revolution. Sure, the body is a little bit wider, and I really do love this new taillight arrangement, but on the whole, it's more of the same story. Except for the door handles. These electrically operated little gizmos pop out just a tiny bit when I unlock the door, and while it looks kind of cool, it's also not my favorite feature. But then again, I'm not a technician getting paid book time to fix these things when they inevitably break. Perhaps I'd like it a little bit more if my car had keyless entry, but this one doesn't, and that should be a crime considering the starting price of this car is $120,000. The interior is traditionally tight, but visibility on all four sides is pretty good. The rear seats, on the other hand, continue to be useless, but thankfully there is a parcel shelf configuration that adds just a bit more versatility. Combined with a decently sized frunk, there's just about enough room in here for the occasional weekend trip's worth of bags. Revised door panels now feature 2 cubbies on each side, which is good because the center armrest doesn't offer a lot of space. The new 911 finally picks up the latest iteration of Porsche's PCM infotainment system. Living on a 10.9-inch screen, I am a huge fan of this guy. The configurable home screen is easily my favorite part, showing me all the relevant data I could ask for, reducing the need to get distracted by shuffling through submenu upon submenu. There's plenty of digging to do, but it's not really necessary once I've set off on the journey. Unless I need to turn on the HVAC recirculation, which should really be included on one of the few physical buttons on the dashboard. PCM has it all. Embedded navigation is included, and its online search function makes finding destinations pretty straightforward. Apple CarPlay is included, and I really like the fact that I can run it while simultaneously having access to PCM functions like the radio. Gone are the days of Porsche's traditional 5-gauge cluster. The latest 911 now runs a single physical tachometer dead center, flanked by configurable displays on either side. Using the scroller on the right side of the steering wheel, I can get the right half to display vital vehicle information, tire pressures, and even a full-size map. The tiny gauges at the extreme ends of the cluster offer information that's not exactly pertinent, but that's good because the steering wheel almost always obstructs them. Automatic emergency braking is standard, as are parking sensors and a backup camera with okay resolution. There are other systems on offer like full-speed adaptive cruise control, a thermal imaging camera, surround view cameras, and lane keep assist, but like so much other Porsche techno-frippery, you'll have to spend even more money to equip them. Thank God you're rich, right? The 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S is more capable than ever, which for Porsche means they can charge more than ever. Even though the C4S is towards the lower end of the complete 911 spectrum, this guy here commands a starting price of $120,000. Throw in 6-hole options and destination like my tester here, and you're staring down a window sticker of $140 grand. Whew. Despite the price tag though, the Carrera 4S seems like it's worth every penny. With performance rivaling that of old 911 turbo models, the new C4S will undoubtedly meet, if not exceed, Porschephile's lofty expectations. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of mad I'm standing out here in the freezing cold instead of piling more miles on this thing. So, with that said, later.